talking about my, wacky transformation for Stranger Things season 4. Gonna go through some of your questions. I tried to look at as many as I could, but there were a billion, and they were a lot of them just about kissing Winona Ryder, so we won't be talking about that. Ones that we talked about, but I guess, a lot of you have asked about that big transformation of Hopper physically from season 3 to season 4, and I just wanted to talk about kind of how I did it, and what parts of it are good and what parts of it are sort of
not
terrible.
Not normal.
Just sort of an exacerbation of whatever psychopathy I have related to devotion to character. But yeah, I guess, I guess I want to start off with, I met this guy, David Higgins. I've worked with a lot of great trainers throughout the years. I've done a lot of different stuff. Don Saladino and Charles Cooperman and a bunch of different tear. So I had some problems with my knees and with my big toe on my right foot and some hip stuff as well. So I was really messed up. And then I went to go do Black Widow that summer. And, the great thing about that character is that he was big and, supposed to be out of shape and busted up, which was great. But I started doing some of the physical stuff, like even just there was a sequence in a prison where I'm running. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Black Widow. There's a sequence in a prison where I'm running around, and even me just running, I was just busted and in
That was
pain.
where we met.
Yes, exactly. So I was in pain a lot from my hip and I just thought I was an old guy. I'm 40. I was 45 at the time or 44 at the time, and I thought, it was just over. And so they had a guy here on Black Widow to help us out, who was helping out. I mean, you were mainly helping out a lot of the stunt guys too, right? In terms of PT and keeping people in shape and keeping people together, because there was a lot of stunt injuries and stuff like that as well.
Well,
right?
we're mitigating against the stunt injuries.
Sorry, yeah. But those stunt guys like to injure themselves in general, don't they? They like to throw themselves up
They're
against.
A different breed.
Yeah, they are a completely different breed of psychopath.
Film that flashback scene.
Yeah.
And and you said, I want to lose, what was it, 40 pounds?
Yeah,
30 pounds?
we had I mean, as much as I could, I think, but 40 pounds sounds about right. But we shot the whole movie, and then we were going to shoot the flashback at the end, and I thought I could lose weight to the movie. They could pad my suit throughout the movie, and then I could be thinner for when we met him in Ohio.
Yeah.
And so you and I started working on how to do that, and we approached it differently than I'd ever approached it in the past.
So how I generally work is that I try and build from the baseline up. So I'm like, okay, what are your injuries? What are the things you're carrying? Why is that possible? And how we can iron the creases out as we progress. And for you to lose the weight was a goal in mind at the time. But equally in my head, I'm like, okay, I've got to sprinkle in what you need, but also what you want. And that's the kind of nuance as a PT goes, is post injuries? How do we correct that? And also just teaching or leveling you up on what your body is capable of actually doing, and not necessarily resigning yourself to the fact of, well, this is me now. I've got mid-40 spread on and I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think that was the thing that there's like several things that we can talk about related to this transformation, related to the whole thing. And one of them is, there's a component that I think is really, there's sort of three. There's like health, and then there's like aesthetics, like how you look, and then there's like how you feel. And I think sometimes those are the same and sometimes they're very different. But I think in terms of what I had to do, I've tried various things in the past and they've been sort of ineffective or short-lived because of how I felt, I think. And so I think the way we started that was really interesting to me was we started with simple, like, as you say, like activation.
Pilates-based movements, basically.
Yeah.
I brought you way back down to the floor again. I'm like, well, if you can work out our bodies, our central nervous systems, I don't want to go too far into the weeds, but if we're on the ground, then we're at our safest psychologically. And so we have to activate first, create that sort of safe environment of glute activation, core control, how to breathe, like literally how to breathe. And we'll go into that in a minute with the whole going through COVID. And just feeling what's going on and correcting yourself as you get stronger, correcting yourself through the more and more advanced exercises that we load your body with. So it's postural dysfunction correction first, and then from there we build out.
Yeah, and what it looks like, you use all these fancy terms like postural correction nonsense.
I'm intelligent.
But what it looks like, body's movements were so vital, and they fixed my knee and they fixed my toe, my ankle, my hip and everything, so I could like move. And then once I could do that, we could really start, doing more complicated stuff. But we did that we did the exercise stuff, but then the other thing you introduced me to, which is, it's kind of the big fad diet of the moment, but it really did work for me, was this like intermittent fasting concept. Which is basically, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this, but it's basically like just being hungry. I mean, I think that the funny thing about like losing a lot of weight is everybody's trying to figure out these like, oh, how do I do it? Like, protein or this, all these very complicated equations. And maybe for guys who are at the high levels of fitnessy regimes in terms of what their bodies can do, maybe that is it. But for me, man, it was just like not eating a lot of food and just being sort of hungry.
It was gradual. It was gradual, to be fair.
No, that's true. No, that's true. And when we started, I mean, the intermittent fasting thing is you do like a window of time when you eat and then a larger window when you don't eat. So sometimes people do like, 10, 14? It's like 10 hours of eating and then 14 hours of not eating.
And then you gradually, when you get more comfortable with it, you pull that back into 10
right.
to 8 hours of eating, say 9 to 5 or whatever that is.
Right.
And then you bring it back. So how I usually approach it is, are you a breakfast person or are you a dinner person? And most of the time people are dinner time people, but sometimes people are like, oh, no, I can't do without breakfast. So you're like, fine, whatever is the most important meal of the day to you, within reason, then you start, say you're opening up that window when you start breaking your fast, hence breakfast, right? And then you work within an 8 to 10 hour window of that. And then gradually when you start to go, oh, this is actually not too bad, I can do this, then you start pulling back the window into smaller frames of eating windows, and then effectively not eating windows, so your body can digest, and then it can start to really shift a lot of the, you can use your fats as a fuel source basically, as opposed to whatever you're putting in your mouth at the time, which we do too often all the time anyway.
Yeah, somebody just said, can you spread that throughout the day? I mean, the idea of this intermittent fasting thing is that you're giving your body time to go into ketosis, right? Which is when it starts to, or autophagy, to use a big word. This is, apparently there's something where the body begins to eat itself, which is a good thing, right? By the way, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an authority on any of this. This is really just my experience and my, what happened to me, and also like what
worked for you.
Right, what worked for me, what
worked for you, yeah.
But yeah, you give yourself a period of where you're not like having a little snack or anything. So, when you're doing the 8-16, let's say, I would try to do, in the beginning, I did it like, I think I would do it like noon to 8. So you wouldn't eat breakfast, and then you also wouldn't eat at night. And that was really hard for me the first couple months. I remember going to bed, because I won't go to bed till like 11 or 12, sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning. And that was really, I remember being very hungry, very angry and hungry. But I would do it, I just stuck with it because I was so motivated to, first of all, I started to see results pretty understand in a certain way, right? Like you
get used to it.
Yes.
You get used to the hunger feeling.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then you have that weird control thing that you sort of wrestle with. That's where I find it most difficult, because when you break the fast, you've got to be okay with it. Psychologically, you've got to be okay with it.
Yes.
Because you go, oh, hang on, if I just push it another hour, or another hour, or another hour, then it goes into, actually, you know what, this is not healthy. So that's why you put in those hard and fast window rules of, I know I'm okay, I can eat and I can stop between these two periods of time. And that just gives us a little bit more, it's like bumper bowling, I think. It's like, okay, keeps us on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't want your body to be too starved. I mean, there are makes sense. Once you start to get into it, like now when I will eat very late at night, it feels weird, actually. My digestive system doesn't want it. Like, it likes to eat sort of during the day in this 6 or 8 hour window. It doesn't like getting something right when I wake up or right when I go to bed. Those were just habits, and like any other habit, they can be broken and changed.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big believer in it, obviously, simply because it just cuts out all the what you can eat, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, all those sort of crazy, within reason, obviously, what you should and shouldn't eat. But intermittent fasting just kind of cuts it super easy. It's like, I'm going to eat between X and Y, and then that's good. And then I can start to tweak that a little bit with regards to, when I had that custard pie, I didn't feel all that good, or I felt a bit lethargic. Maybe I should not have too much dairy. Or meat, for example, is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Because when we got down to the real pointy end of things, shall we say, what you guys have seen on camera, on the TV, it literally, all David was eating was, do you want to tell everybody? It's a long list.
I was eating, like bits of salad. And then I think Millie let me add some Greek yogurt, a different Millie from the training here. Let me have some Greek yogurt. I think I would do Greek yogurt and like a little meager salad for lunch for the last, I think it was like a week. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. But yeah, it was, because a lot of people you've asked, you guys sent a lot of questions, and I want to try to get to some of these questions. But basically, a lot of you asked, like, what did you do, calorie restriction, or do you cook, things like that. And like, I don't cook, and I don't know how to eat well, or like really. All I can say is you can do better in terms of like choosing vegetables. That was like, one of the things I got. The right stuff. It's just not my vibe. Like, and I did find though, and it was because I was really big. I think the weight came off pretty easily.
They
but
wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah, but even in the beginning, I was eating like pancakes and pizza during my like 8 hour window, and my body was like, "Yeah, all right, as long as it's 8 hours,
It's
like
still
we'll get rid of some of this." And then, as I say, like we started to do a lot of like our primary core stuff was like Pilates type movements. David does a lot of Pilates stuff. We had a reformer machine that we got on set, and I was doing that pretty much every day. We would do like 5 days a week, right?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday.
About an hour long each session, and so.
It looked sharp.
Yeah, it was
Remember
pretty
that?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And then I'm like, okay, good. And then
he's
COVID
not.
hit in March.
Right, but I had started
Lithuania.
filming. Yeah, I went to Lithuania and started filming.
Just before COVID hit.
Just before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And, so we were in Lithuania filming some of the dramatic, and I wouldn't like recommend it to other people, that dramatic of a shift.
To be fair, I've never seen anybody keep it to such a strict, like you were just dialed in. You were dialed in and you were just like, I'm doing this. And I had never seen anybody be able to shift so much weight in such a short amount of time either, to be honest. Like it wasn't you're not normal.
I am a psychopath. Yeah. I mean, clinically diagnosed. Yeah, I mean, I do have something where there were some couple questions people asked me, like, what's your motivation? What keeps your motivation? I mean, I'm lucky in terms of, because I do kind of want to hear from you guys eventually too. I'm hoping maybe we could, get some of your requests in, and I know a lot of them are just going to be people going like, talking about Jopper or something. But I actually do want to hear maybe from some people who, struggle with this stuff, because I've always struggled with it my whole life. And the biggest motivator that I had were like, I knew that millions of people were going to watch me play a part in season 4, and I wanted that to be believable. Just dedicated and really,
That's the reason why. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, majority of people who don't do your job, that if you don't have a strong reason as to why to do it, then it's never going to get off the ground at all,
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So we did a bunch of Pilates stuff, and then we were doing this thing. Then we shut down for COVID, and then it was about a year before I went back to film again. I knew that I was coming back in January of 2021 to do. And to do, it was a scene that we trained for. It was really that scene where, he gets undressed with Joyce was really the majority of what the work we wanted to do, because we wanted to show this, when I took my shirt off, I wanted to reveal this body that had been like hardened by this prison, a guy that was more brutal, but that also was thinner and had not been eating as well. And so we really talked about crafting this like lean.
Yeah, boxing kind of. You wanted you remember at the beginning you wanted this really lean sort of physique. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And you're like, really?
Yeah, I know.
You're like, really?
I know.
180
light
pounds.
heavyweight, it was insane to me. I've never been that. I think I was that way when I was like 12. And then I hit 200 pounds at around 13 and a half, and it's been up ever since. So, yeah, it was, it was a so we trained for, during the pandemic, and I went off and did some of the movies, and I did some other different types of stuff because it was a year. Like we knew we had a year where I had to maintain. During the time I did a movie in Detroit, and I was suffering some panic stuff from all the COVID stuff, and I would go out and run, do some very steady state cardio, which I'm sure you guys have heard of, which is like low, like I'd keep my heart rate at 65% of my max, 130, 135 for like an hour or an hour and a half, and it really regulated my breathing, helped me to, relax in this tense, crazy thing we were all going through, because I was really going through some bad anxiety. And then you and I would do like kettlebell workouts over
that's all we had. We only had
Right.
kettlebell workouts or club bell workouts. Through COVID just as much as I got. But it's true. It was just about consistency in that phase of life for everybody.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I know I've got David at,
Yeah,
gets
it
you
was
up.
really nice to have that routine, right?
Yeah.
And to have something to look forward to, because again, with all that anxiety, I was worried we'd never do plays again. I was worried we'd never had where, look, we're still going to train for this thing, whether or not it ever happens again, but it's still something to look forward to and something to do. And yeah, I mean, my whole relationship to my body changed. I mean, my body had been something that had been, I've gone through phases. I've enjoyed its complexity. My senses, my various things about myself, but my body's always been a very tricky one. I've never been a physical guy. I grew up, I never played sports. I was always like, more nerdy kid reading books and playing video games, crap like that. So my body was a bit of a foreign,
I do X or Y, but it's so undulating that, you know, you go up and you go down, you go up and you go down. It's almost like our moods of the day, you know, and to assume that your physical transformation or the time that you go through, you know, we always totally overestimate what we can do in a month and totally underestimate what we can do in an entire year, as a general statement. And it's like, it's these little things that we can implement every single day into our body, which might switch us out of a mood, which will therefore change the way that we eat that day, or go for a bit of a walk. It's the little movements, or different changes that we can approach or deliver for us to help us feel better and therefore make a more positive decision for ourselves to go forward. But it's a change, it's a battle, isn't it? Every single day.
Yeah, totally.
Questions?
Yeah, let's answer some questions, because I took down some of your questions that you guys sent. All right, let's see. That one girl, PDX, says, did you notice a change in how the external world treated you after your glow up? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'll tell you what, like, the one thing about even doing this Instagram and stuff is, like, the one thing that I struggle with, and especially on Instagram, it's like hard to even talk about this because I feel like the medium is just built for it. But like, I struggle with my own narcissism, and I'll tell you what, like, you know, when you're getting in shape and you're doing that scene and you're all underweight, and you know, like I look at myself in the mirror like a lot more. And when I'm a little bulkier, I don't look at myself in the mirror as much. You just pass by mirrors, and I have to say that in and of itself is a reason to the beauty that people should respond to is always the beauty that is within us, and that is, you know, our soul. Even though I'm not a religious man, I do believe that we have sort of a soul that we project out, and you know, and the thing about aesthetics and beauty are ultimately, when you get to know someone, you barely see those things anyway. So it's like a picture on the wall that you see. You know, you hang some picture in your apartment, and you look at it for a couple of days, and then it just doesn't even exist. You just pass it by. Like, and just this idea, you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to be training the most scientifically way. And, you know, there's all this argument around exercise where people will tell you, like, this is the way you're supposed to do it. And if you're not doing this way, you're doing it wrong. And so I do think that we do something. Apparently, you're not supposed to do crunches anymore.
Or foam rolling.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do foam rolling. We do both. You're not supposed to do crunches at all. And our ab routine, David's ab routine with me sometimes as well. We do like 1,000, right? We do 1,000. We like do 200 crunches.
5 times.
5 times. Yeah. That's really a shitty day. Have you come to have a better relationship with your body after this process? Yes, absolutely. Your favorite exercise or movement when training or working out? What's my favorite exercise?
I'll put up a video.
Okay. No.
Actually, I'm gonna do that.
Check out. It
This
better
is-
not be
this is
with
what I
me
think-
in it.
This is what I think your
Jesus
favorite
Christ.
is.
Okay. Were you still working out during the shooting of Stranger Things? I was still working out during the shooting of Stranger Things. In fact,
We had a gym.
yeah, we had a little gym in the Lithuanian hotel I was staying at, and I would go down there at 5 a.m, and there was
It's cold.
very excited for you guys to see it. I'm very excited, but this past winter
This is what I think your favorite is.
oh Jesus, look at that.
I'm gonna put this on. Look at this beast.
There's me on the Pilates machine, working the glutes. Wow, I'm so excited you're posting about it. It'll make more sense, I think. But it's I got big. I went and I got back up to my 270, 275 there. We were shooting
You
in
didn't need
Winnipeg.
my help for that one,
No,
weirdly.
it's crazy that I did not do it healthy either. I asked a couple of people, I was like, what's the healthiest way to get fat again? And they were like, they told me all these things. And then I just wound up eating, pizza and cookies and ice cream and donuts and just I had so many donuts. And I have to say, it was so fun for the first 3 days. And then it actually got hard because my mood swings were crazy. I mean, I was just constantly eating, and then my body couldn't really move as well. And I was also doing a bunch of jujitsu for this movie and different wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling stuff. So yeah, it was actually kind of tough to have to eat that much, but so I got big again. So now my diet, I go through phases, and I think we all do. So I'm kind of getting back into it now because I'm doing a play here in London and gearing up for whatever the future holds. I mean, I know that we have season 5 starting up again next year sometime, and I don't know when that starts, but if it starts anytime near season 4, I'll have to get, probably not that thin, but a bit thinner and stronger. So I'm, stuff. I do some of that. And then with David, I've been now starting to come in a couple days a week and try to get back into it. But in general, I like to, do something physical every day. I find that it's just, and then I'm trying to get back into the fasting thing of 6-hour windows, which seem to be really good for me. And then, I'm not perfect at it. I'm not training specifically for anything yet. So it's not like I was doing like 2 days a week where I would do 24-hour fasting, which is kind of fun. I mean, again, I'm not a doctor. Don't do this if you're not. I don't know what people are supposed to or not supposed to do. But I did find that we started incorporating these things called 24-hour fasts, which were just like
Dinner to
8,
dinner.
8 p.m. to 8 p.m. the next day. So you'd eat dinner, and then you would just not eat the rest of the day, and then you eat dinner again. So it's not as hard as it sounds, like 24-hour fasting. But right? I mean, that's where that fat goes. It's just eating itself.
Yes, using the fat.
Autophagy.
Yeah.
Somebody won a Nobel Prize for it, I'm telling you.
Okay.
All right, let's see. So I didn't use any supplements. When were the results visible? When did you start getting used to training?
Quick.
Did it get yeah, the results, because I was so big, because I was like 270, 275, the results didn't take that long because my body's not really meant to be that big, I think. So it really was a couple weeks and I started to see it come off. But love the gym. Kind of.
Oh, really?
I mean, I tell you what, I hated it for the first 2 months
Yeah.
straight. Like every day I would come in.
Moaning.
There's
I
a
had to
picture.
change the question.
There's a picture on that thing of me, but I did. Yeah, I hated it. And I hated you specifically. I was really mad at you. You would come by and I would just
Say, hey, David.
I would just personally get very mad at you for no reason. Just angry, angry, angry. There was so many interesting things about that. Like I remember too, even when physically, like you would do some massage and some release work on me. And I remember, I forget who it was, but it might have been you or one of the other trainers. Like there was I've always had like love handles and stuff, and somebody like started to go in there to try to release something in my low back. And I remember being so uptight about it. Like there was so much shame around, the weight in my body. Made me even madder at you that I had developed
Yes,
a dependence
I've got him.
on this ass. Okay. Did it make you love the gym? Can you go more into how they fatten you up as you film flashbacks? Yeah. So the flashbacks were a prosthetic piece that was here, and it came here, and it was done by this guy Barry, who's an incredible makeup artist. But it was an entire prosthetic flash. Foam and stuff. And then, we shot that. That was pretty much all practical effects, the flashbacks, which I was amazed by. Did you practice fasting? Good tips that work for you while for you to not struggle? As I say, like I did a lot of intermittent fasting. The tips are just, just keep going. And I mean, there was something I read where they were like, no milk in your coffee, no like little sugar or anything, just coffee and water, black coffee and water. And I don't know if that's a thing about insulin levels. I've read varying things, and the internet, everybody has an idea about what it is or isn't. But I will say this, that if I'm eating just even a little piece of bread or something, or just a little thing, it makes me want to eat more. Whereas if I'm just being very strict and crazy about it, I'm better. So I wouldn't do the tip for me would be, if you're going to do a fast, do it as clean as you can. Don't do anything. Just do coffee and water, black coffee and water. Did you take testosterone boosters during training? No, diet and exercise only. No
Never.
testosterone boosters.
No.
Does having bipolar make your job difficult anyway? I also have it. Yeah. Yeah. I've had to do, it makes my job more difficult, my neuroatypicality, but also, as I say, it makes it also somewhat easier. And my job itself is enhanced by it, and it frees me by doing what I do. I am a natural psychopath, as I say. And so therefore, doing things like losing 70 pounds in a couple months is like, for the normal person might not be, but for a crazy person like myself, it's maybe comes easier. But there's something about that single-minded focus where, there's something about mental illness where people want to think it's an illness, but I do think your gifts and your sicknesses or whatever sometimes are inextricably linked. And be careful the demons which you cast out, because they may be the best things about you. That was like a Nietzsche thing.
On that, I agree. How did you, when you did sort of start losing the weight from being really heavy, did that affect your mental health in any way? In terms of clarity, in terms of focus, in terms of sort of not being so up and down?
I mean, I'll tell you what, there were good days and there were bad days. And especially in the beginning,
the withdrawals?
Yeah, there were some really tough days where things would affect me, and the hunger would affect me very deeply. And then, as I say, when that wave would pass, there would be a clarity as well. And I do find now that I feel much more regulated, and I think that's as a result of, I was eating a lot of sugar and stuff, and I do think that affects your mental health. I mean, it affects your mood, right?
Yeah.
So you're eating, sugar all day, and you're just crashing and going up and down and up and down. And I did find that the transition to a healthier diet is hard, and it makes you want to stop. But once you do transition, like a couple months in, I started to feel the benefits of a steadier mindset. Your
cholesterol levels significantly dropped. Remember that?
Yeah.
You came in, you were almost diabetic.
Yeah, I was dead. I was like a week away from death. If you looked at my blood or the ability to flex my knees, you would see that I was practically dead. And then we fixed a lot of stuff. I mean, I will say this is amazing about the whole experience was, and just by, you can check out David's book too, but just by simple exercises, you can find them online too, by simple Pilates type exercises, I really thought I needed surgery on my knees. I thought I needed a new knee. And we did these Pilates based exercises for 2 months, and my knee can move in all kinds of different directions now, and there was no need for surgery. So there's a lot of benefit to sticking with consistently some small changes. And a lot of things that can go away without drastic medical attention.
Yeah.
I believe that about physical health and mental health to a certain degree. Okay, let's see. How many kg did you lose to perform in season 4? I remember I took a picture of the scale. I don't have it right now. It was 87.8 kg at the end, which is what is it, 180 something? And then... But normally, I don't know, I think last time I was at my doctor, I was this was a while ago, but at the beginning it was
87 kg in pounds.
87...
Is 191 pounds.
Yeah, 191 pounds, yeah.
That's how much you weighed? Or that's how much you lost?
No, that's how much I weighed at the end. Yeah. Favorite cigar brand? I like a lot of them. Oh, somebody did ask if I stopped smoking. Yeah, I stopped smoking 5 years ago, before or during season 2 of the show. So I smoke herbal cigarettes. I occasionally will have a cigar, once every couple months. What was your routine for toning the body after losing weight? It was sort of a process, yeah. There were some questions that people had about loose skin. And here's my bullshit. This is my bullshit internet thing that I read that I think is true, which I have no basis in fact about, is that I heard that with fasting and autophagy, which is my favorite word I don't really know, but I know somebody won a Nobel Prize for it, in 2015. I tried to listen to the TED Talk and I couldn't be bothered. But apparently if you're doing fasting where you're in ketosis for like 16, 18 hours, and then you're eating a lot of food, you're eating a significant amount of calories, and then you're in ketosis again. Apparently, you have less loose skin because, I don't know, as opposed to simple caloric restriction throughout the day. That's what I read on the internet. I will not stand behind that anyway. But I will say I didn't seem to have that many problems.
I honestly think that's just luck. I think that's
you
just
think
you.
so?
I just think it's got you. That's how you are built.
Okay.
Some people suffer from it. Other people don't.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a little bit of a. You can even see in the show. I got a little bit of a, a kangaroo pouch, which is my badge of honor. I mean, I like to carry around my little kangaroo
Joey.
children somewhere. Joey, they call him Joey. Ask the Australian. All right, let's see what we got. Do you prefer your body before or after transformation? That's really interesting. I mean, I like it both. I like it both. There's a certain, power and fierceness in that thin, lithe body. And then there's a certain luxurious, fun quality to people that are bigger, myself when I'm bigger, and like a certain jolly, Santa Claus vibe from that guy. But I mean, one of the things that I like about being an actor is that I get to be different people, and then I get to wear different skins. And so that's like, I don't know what I prefer. It depends on the day. Let's see. Did you do anything to minimize damage because the big swings can be hard on your health? Not really. I mean, we try to do it healthy in the best way we could. I do know it's not great to go back and forth. My doctor was not happy that I went back up for Santa Claus. I don't know if I'll be able to do it too much more in the future. I have to start to balance these things because I am, not 15 years old or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I'm devoted to the job and I'm willing to take risks for it. Like anyone who does a job that they love, there's risk inherent in all of our jobs. You mentioned you stopped eating on set. Was it hard to film rigorous action / kissing sequences?
Everyone's obsessed with the whole kissing.
I know. Was it hard when I wasn't eating to film rigorous kissing sequences?
Did you survive?
I survived. I made it back. Yeah, but the whole experience was very hard because a lot of things. There's a lot of downtime on set, and you're just trying to you just eat whatever crap at the craft service table and talk to people and stuff. And it was having to be very strict. It was difficult. I had to be really strict, really focused. It was a hard shoot.
What was the family and friends question? What was that?
What's that? What about family and friends? What role do they play in losing weight? Oh my God.
That's a good question.
Yeah, so much. I mean, I'll tell you what, my wife is extremely supportive and terrific, but here's the problem with family is that you like to get together and enjoy each other or try to enjoy each other. And one of those things becomes my stepdaughters love to bake cakes. And when I'm training or doing something psychopathic, like in Lithuania, I just will clear the apartment or the hotel room out of food or anything. I'll just live like a monk. And then whatever, your family makes you a cake and that cake just sits on a table. It's like, of course I'm going to go over and have 8 slices of that cake
every day
tonight.
That's a cake. I had 3 slices.
I know. I
It was like the confessional.
First of all, I do not understand how people let a cake just sit there without every time passing by it and peeling off just a little bit. What's so funny is I keep taking little slices and thinking that they don't add up to an enormous slice, but they don't. If there's 20 slices
true.
that are very tiny, they don't add up.
They basically subtract each other.
You know what's a good way to lose weight too is to take a big old slice of cake and then to eat it, but then leave this much and be like, "Ooh, I'm so full.
I couldn't possibly."
Exactly. Yeah, family's hard, And then the other thing about family is they love you for you, how you are, probably, And I think that change scares everybody to a certain degree. They can also be very supportive, I'm lucky that my family likes me being an actor, and they are very supportive of me. But it's definitely a complexity in the mix. So, yeah, it's definitely makes things more complex.
Couple more.
Yeah, a couple more. Okay. Oh, have we really? Yeah. Oh my God, it's 5 p.m. Yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah,
okay,
we
gotta
got work to do.
I know, I got work to do. You travel back in time, fitness regime, day one. What do you say? I say.
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I tell you what I don't
say.
You travel back in time to you, day one of your fitness thing. What do you say? I don't know what I say, but I'll tell you what I don't say. Is that it's going to be this hard. It's going to be this hard to do it. Like the hard thing that I went through, the understanding of how difficult it actually was. Had I known that at day one, I don't know that I would have mentally been able.
It's almost like, building a house. Would you ever
go back and, yeah,
do it again? It's like never again.
Never again, yeah. But then you do it and you love it.
Yeah, and you love it, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, whatever. We told you a little bit of stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. It was very enjoyable talking to you and reading your questions and stuff.
If you have any more questions, obviously send them over to me and I'll try and get onto them as well.
Check out Dave Higgins London. David. What is it? David Higgins London.
That's it.
On Instagram. He's just a terrific trainer. Like last year, that horrible actor in person, Kumail.
Remember we worked out together?
Yes. David had trained him when he got all ripped. And, David's just a great trainer and really supportive and really in it for the right reasons. And, is all about sort of health and then occasionally allows psychopaths like me to come in and do something crazy. But, thank you guys for your interest, and really love making it for you. And I love pushing myself as hard as I possibly can to make this character as rich as possible. And this was definitely one of the major things this season that we worked on. So anyway, thanks again, guys. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.